Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the third of a three-part series on successful aging in place. My name is Shauna Levine, and I'm the project coordinator at the Wayland Council on Aging, for those of you who don't know me. This program is made possible through a community challenge grant through AARP. The AARP Community Challenge is a grant program to make tangible improvements in communities that jumpstart long-term change. It is part of AARP's nationwide Livable Communities Initiative, which supports the efforts of cities, towns, neighborhoods, and rural areas to become great places to live for people of all ages. Through the grant, we were able to purchase 100 sets of motion detector nightlights to give to participants in the program. For those of you who have not received a set yet, we will have them available at the end of today's program, and we just ask one per household, please. We also have additional home fit guides and resource materials available in the back. Through the grant, we also have funds to install grab bars in 5 homes as a pilot program. Recipients will be selected through a lottery. If you haven't signed up, please do so today, because we will be choosing the people who are recipients of the grab bars today. So once again, please silence or turn off your cell phones. Oh, and one more thing, well, 2 more things. One is that we have some AARP t-shirts, and so we'll be raffling them off. We have 10 t-shirts. If you're interested in receiving a t-shirt, there are some tickets in the back. Just put your name on it, and we'll pick those at the end of the program. Just the t-shirts range in size small to size 4XL. So we'll see if you can find one that might fit you if you win. And the last thing I want to say before we get started is that this, again, is the third of 3 series program, and I have evaluations at the end. So at the end, if you would be so kind to fill out an evaluation form, we'd really appreciate it, and I'll pass those around at the end. And we will be recording today's program, so if there's anybody that you know that is missing today that would like to watch it, we'll have that available. Today's topic is home renovations for aging in place. Last week, we learned about simple fixes that you can mostly do yourself. Today, we will focus on changes that a professional can make. We are thrilled to have 2 certified aging in place specialists, actually 3 with us here today. Brian Harvey from Harvey Home Modifications, and Keli Thompson and Michael Campbell from Mr. Handyman. We will hear from each presenter and take questions at the end. We'll start with Keli and Michael.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. A little bit about ourselves. We are married. We started to do these aging in place.
Come
in the center a little bit more. Okay. Is that better?
This microphone has to go at 45 degrees, like Beyonce, you know.
Okay. We started doing these aging in place coffee and conversations because it hits home with both of us. Michael's dad just turned 90 last week, and my mom is about to turn 85. My mom has broken her hip, her femur, her shoulder, her ribs, and her ankle 3 times. So we've had to pivot and make these adjustments. So it hit home with us, and we just wanted to come and have some conversations with all of you and explain some simple things that you can do to make your home more livable, that you could stay in it for a long time.
Hello, Michael Campbell from Mr. Handyman Central Metro West. Just a quick note about the business. The business has been serving Wayland and beyond for 28 years. I've been in the business for 20 plus years now. And as Keli mentioned, we did really start to focus probably about a decade ago on senior aging in place things. We found out a lot about it. And I'll talk to Brian, who I met today, but I actually know his family from a while ago. And you're going to hear from 2 different contractors today, and we're both certified, both licensed, both capable of doing a lot of things in your home, but I think we specialize in slightly different areas. I think Brian does a lot of the medium to larger size jobs, and as handyman, as the word says, we focus on smaller to mid-sized jobs. So there's no competition here between us, and as I always say to everybody, the most important thing about us doing this is not that you use us to do it, it's that you get it done. You may have a contractor or a handyman in your neighborhood that helps you out, and that you might take something away from these presentations that says, oh, I need this done. And it's okay if you use them as well, but the most important thing, considering the experiences that we've had, is get it done. It's important to notice these things and take care of them so that you can live in your house longer, more comfortably, and safer. Aging in place is a title, I guess, and it doesn't always refer to aging. We can get a younger person who may have had injury, and they may need a temporary ramp to get in their home, but for 6 months, and they're going to be fine, and then we can remove it. And those are the decisions that we make as contractors who can, help you, guide you through these ideas and things that we can do with your home, and that's where the certification comes in. Okay? And I'm going to hand it to Kelly now, who's going to talk a lot about some specifics on things that we want to focus on and we want you to focus on. There you go.
Okay, so this morning, what is aging in place? Aging in place is the ability to live in one's home and community safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of the age, income, or ability level. Did you know that 1 out of every 5 people in the United States by the year 2025 will be over the age of 65 from the baby boomer generation? So therefore, nursing homes and assisted living and independent living facilities are going to be very crowded. So part of the reason we're here today is to talk about how you can stay in your home longer and your own comfortable surroundings and the neighbors you know that you've known for a long time and your friends and family that know where you live. So there's a few things that your home needs to be, and the first is livable. Is your home safe, and is it easy for you to get around? Is it one floor living? Things like that, but it needs to be livable. It needs to be visitable. So visitable is a term that we use to make sure people can come see you as well as you go see them. So it doesn't just apply to you, it actually applies to us as well. For example, our home wasn't very visitable for our parents to come. We had a very large step to get in, and my stepfather, who is 96 years old, didn't want to come all the time because he had a hard time getting up that last step, and it made us sad. So we put grab bars in, and we put a threshold so that it was not as steep of a step for him. And we were trying to make our home visitable. Your home also needs to be visitable so your friends and family can come see you. So simple things that you can do to help people get in and out of your home. It becomes, adaptable, so you can, if the stairs are a challenge, like in our case, we put the grab bars in, or we put a small threshold in, so it wasn't such a steep step. Wider doorways. Again, Brian's going to talk to you about some other bigger changes that you can make. It needs to be universal. So if you, I had shoulder surgery last year, so if I had a challenge getting into my own house, I use those grab bars all the time. I tore my rotator cuff and I'm a righty, and so it was just a challenge for me. So it's not just for aging, it's for everyone, universal. So young, old, no matter what your ability is, you can use the home. So these modifications can go for everyone, not just for aging in place. It needs to be accessible. And, one floor living would be nice, but if you don't have it, there's lots of modifications that can be done to help you maneuver your home easier. And so some of the modifications that we can do to make it livable, universal, visitable, and accessible are what we're going to talk to you about today.
About this?
Yeah.
Okay, just a little note. Obviously as we age, our muscle mass reduces, and we can't lift things. We can't get around. It's harder. I'm noticing it too. I've been injured a lot of times, done some real dumb physical things in my life, and so I understand things that that we can do. We can look around your home and help you, guide you. Doorknobs are tough. Sometimes you want the lever instead of the knob if you can't turn it. Levers are really important. Rocker switches on things. If you have, what we do is specific to you. We talk to you about your needs. Not every home. We can't make one home that's going to work for everyone here or at all, because your needs may be different from your needs and your needs and your needs. So if somebody has mobility issues, we look at certain things. If they have hearing issues, we look at other things. If they have visual issues, we look at other things. But not everybody needs all of it. So it's always specific to you, and that's, I think, where the certification helps, because we have the ability to talk to you and not tell you what you need, but talk to you about what you need. And that's what we try to focus on.
The number one fear for as we age is falling. And the most common places to fall are in your shower, tripping over threshold, tripping over an area rug. In my mom's case, it was a broom, it was a piece of bark mulch, it was practically nothing that caused her to break her hip and her femur. So you want to make sure that you have some things put in your bathroom to make it easier. Adjustable shower head so that you can, hold it handheld. Shower seats, there's lots of ways, wider doorways, non-slip flooring. And then as we age, we start to lose our hearing, and that's a challenge for people as well. So there's lots of technology that you can have, intercoms, so that you can hear if somebody's at your door. And then your muscle starts to go as well. You don't have the same stamina that you used to have. So we need a little assistance. And today's grab bars are not like yesterday's grab bars. The grab bars that we can install don't have to look like they belong in a hospital anymore. They have all different kinds. This is a towel rod. This is a permanent chair. It just folds up, so you don't have to put the chair in and out of the shower. You just pop it up. More grab bars. Another bench right here. It folds up, gets out of your way if you need it. It's there. If you don't, you push it away. Fancy towel rods. That's actually a grab bar. Toilet paper holders. Another grab bar. So they don't look like they are commercial anymore. They have all different kinds. This is actually our house. My father-in-law tried to lift himself up at our house and tore my towel rack off the wall. So that's actually a grab bar. And that's a toilet paper holder, which is also a grab bar. They have shower caddies that are grab bars. And your vision. Vision's another challenge as we age, but actually vision starts to be affected when you're in your 40s. So when you're in your 40s, you start to lose your vision, and when you're in your 50s, you start to lose your depth perception. That's why you'll find yourself at a restaurant like holding the menu in and out. And in your 60s, you start to lose color. So you may not know the difference between beige and white or black and navy. It won't be so easy. So lighting is a factor. So you want kelvins and lumens, and the recommended lumens would be 800 lumens. And then the kelvins are the brightness. And so you need well-lit areas, especially if the color is starting to fade away. You should do modifications to your home so that your walls and your floors are the same color. A lot of injuries happen from not knowing where the floor stops and the walls start. So it's recommended to maybe do crown molding around it that's a different color that offsets it. Like in this room, for example, you've got the white walls, but you've got the chair rail going around, and so you can see that there's a wall there. The floors are a different color, so it's not gonna happen. But if you had white carpet, white walls, white baseboards, white trim, you can walk into a corner and not realize it. Removing trip hazards is really important, so you want to make sure that area rugs and things like that are either taped down or removed. You can put radiant flooring in if your feet are cold. As we get older, we start to lose, like I said, the depth perception. So if you're diabetic, you can shuffle and you don't have the same circulation. If you're not sure where the steps are and they start and stop, the simple things like the radiant flooring will help with that, but also double-sided tape things down. Non-skid stickers can be put on walkways. Remove thresholds if you can in between doorways, just to make it easier to slide around, get around, and keep warm at the same time. Sliding shelves, keep organized. That's a big part of making these modifications in your home. You can put the shelves in that come out easy accessible so that you're not pulling something off a top shelf that may hit you in the head. These are low counter shelves that you can pull in and out. Keep organized, keep all your spaces together, your spices together, your cooking, whatever, pots and pans. These shelves actually come out from the wall and then drop down so that you can reach them. Low sliding shelves again. Declutter all bedrooms. Low profile furniture, easy to get in and out of. You don't want that big giant 4-poster bed unless you have steps going up to it. Keep your closets open. Again, you don't need to be pulling shoes off of a shelf over your head. Chair height surfaces, which Brian will pretty much chat with you about all these things for your kitchen that you can do. Easy use faucets, touchless things, makes it easy. Brian's going to go into more depth with ramps, so we'll skip over that part. Doorways can be widened. Again, that's sometimes a bigger project for Brian, but if the doorway is 36 inches wide, you can get wheelchairs in there. Michael?
I'm doing okay. I'm great. All right, again, there's a lot of things that you can do. And these modifications, some of them, they're not inexpensive. I'm sure that's a factor on everybody's mind. That's why we try to get you to think of them before you need them. For instance, if Brian's doing a kitchen remodel for you, that's the time to think of the counter heights and the accessibility and the space for the wheelchairs and grab bars and certain things. It's not that you need to go in and change everything now and spend a fortune, because again, it's not an inexpensive thing. But what we're trying to do is make it easier and less expensive in the long run. I know the cost of independent and assisted living due to my dad, and it sure would be a lot easier to keep him in his home, to have kept him in his home for years longer versus what we would have spent making his house accessible versus putting him in a home. So the cost you need to factor in that way too. But all these things aren't really feasible to do right away. It's as you're doing something, take that next step, bathroom remodels. If you want to do that, you're adding grab bars, consider removing a tub. If you don't get into the tub anymore, it creates a hazard for falling and tripping. So you may consider removing the tub at that point and making a walk-in shower. And the thing that we all do here as contractors is we do it in a way that makes your home, adds value to your home, not detracts, hopefully, because there is a finite period that you're going to live there, and obviously the value of your home is important. It's usually the number one investment all of us make, and it's something that we want to do in a way that adds value to it so it doesn't detract. So you can think about whoever's going to inherit the house or whatever you're going to do there too. So lots of little things around the house that we look at, and again, everybody's different. We can't show you everything here and now, but it's something that we're happy to inform you about, and maybe you know something and we have customer service too. We can talk to you on the phone and guide you through some of these things before you have to spend any money. So there's a lot of things we can do to help. Oh, that's a good one. One of the things is smart home technology. Now, I'm not a techno guy. I don't even like the iPhone. I tell Kelly when we retire, we're gonna have one phone in the kitchen with a really long cord, and that's it. But there's a lot of things that we look at, because we look at at fraud. We look at security. We look at other things for you as well. And technology definitely is going to play a part in it, and I won't ignore it. We just got Kelly's mom a watch. It's an Apple Watch that actually detects a fall. I had a situation in my family that if we had that, we would be, you know, in a much happier place. But we had someone who fell, and we didn't know. And so that can be really bad. They say your next fall can change your life. But there's watches now that will automatically dial a person, an important person, and if that person doesn't answer, then the watch will call 911 for you, which is something to consider, and I wish we had it years ago. Ring doorbells, really a great thing. You know who's at your door. Do you want to answer it, or do you want to just click on your phone and say, I'm not interested in whatever you're selling? Whatever your feeling is, but it's good to know that people are there. Lighting, we can have automatic lights come on. I like to come home at night and have my house lit up, but I don't want to spend the electric bill. So what we do is we have lights that come on at 30%, and then if there's a motion detector, they'll brighten to 100%. So it's a nice thing. It's just all kinds of things that we can do with your home. And if you have issues hearing a doorbell, we can add lights to it. So if the doorbell rings, you see a flashing light. You know, we're just trying to generate some ideas for you and some questions, I guess. And rugs, again, that's one thing that's important. You get these throw rugs, which, because it's in the winter, you're cold, you live in New England, you want to walk around, but they are terrible hazards. So if you need to keep them, we recommend taping them down. The other thing, if you're doing a new floor, that's the time to think, maybe I want to put the radiant flooring underneath, or the radiant heating. And there's a lot of ways to do that. You can do it electrical, you can do it with plumbing, but you can keep the heat warm so you're not so tempted to need that rug, if you will. So just a lot of things that are going on. But Kelly's taking us through if you're a technical person, they get all these iPads and things you can have on your home, and you can control the stereo and the lights and the alarm clock and everything else under the sun. We can help you with that, and I do have guys on our team that can talk you through it better than I, but really important stuff. And managing the courts, tripping hazards. Falling is one of those things that we do, and there's a lot of ways. We've got a lot of pictures here. We can run cords under a baseboard. You can put some adaptive things up a wall. If you have a TV, we run them through, like this one here. You ran it right through the wall, and it comes down below, so there's no real wiring issue, so anyone can do it. You don't need an electrician for that. And then you just snake them up so it's neat. But you can put some conduit sort of material there like we're showing here. You can run all your wires through there. Not only is it aesthetically pleasing, but it eliminates the hazard of tripping and pulling stuff out and damaging your equipment as well. Privacy film, it's another security factor that we do. We can put it on your doors, so if you don't want people to look in, you get Amazon people, everybody's coming to your door. It looks like my house 3 times a week. So, you know, we can do that kind of stuff. Still lets light in for you. Lighting is important. You know, and we're just trying to make your home safer for you, and if you need advice or anything, we can call, talk.
That's it.
And that's it for us. I guess I'll hand it to Brian, and then at the end, we'll take some questions.
Thank you, Michael and Kelly. Yes, please. Oh. Michael and Kelly, wasn't that a TV show for a while?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you, Sean.
You should be all set.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Harvey. I'm the owner of a construction company called Harvey Home Modifications, and this is an aging in place and accessibility remodeling company. We do everything from new construction homes to small remodels like kitchens and bathroom projects.
You gotta tilt it.
You gotta
So
tilt it.
45
Is that
degrees.
45?
45 degrees usually does it.
Yeah.
And very close.
Is that a little better?
Did you hear me okay?
Thank you. So almost 100% of our business is focused on aging in place and accessibility remodeling. And the reason is, because I come by this honestly, my mother, her name's Kara, she actually knows Michael for quite a long time now. She has been in senior care, home care, hospice her entire professional career. My father, who was a union pipe fitter, he started doing side projects for my mother's clients, and those projects were small things like maybe small ramps, threshold improvements, grab bars, and it became a full-time job for him very quickly, as you know, obviously there's a huge need for handyman services. After college, I was in a tech sales job. I couldn't stand all the travel and sitting in a cubicle when I was home. I let my father know, hey, I'd like to join you, learn how to work with my hands. I'd like to get into construction. So he taught me everything I knew. While the two of us worked together, we became a good team. Our capabilities grew. We were asked to do larger projects increasingly. So I retired my dad from the physical labor, and I've taken over the business. I now have 4 employees who work with me full-time.
Including him?
Including my son James. Yep, he loves it. You know, he'll be the next generation of contractors, hopefully. You know, I'd love to work with him. He's got actually quite a knack for it. Anytime I worked at my house doing about 10 hours of digging gravel on Saturday, and he stood with me the whole time with his little mini shovel. He's only 3 years old, so he's next in line, I think.
There are child labor laws.
Yes, sir. Well, I didn't pay him, so I think that's how I got around it. So that's what we do, and quite honestly, there's a lot of overlap, which is a good thing in our presentations because the information is correct. I'm gonna kind of tailor this a little bit and change things up to talk to you about the larger projects that we typically see and give you some ideas on how to age in place or how to downsize. I don't have the content here as much, but I'm happy to make this a conversation. We're going to have a Q&A, I think, with Kelly, Michael, and myself afterwards, too. So if you have questions, I want to leave some room to discuss those things because I have a lot of experience doing it. But I'm going to quickly go over some of the things that are not an overlap, and then we'll talk about some of those larger projects. Okay, aging in place remodeling. Okay, basically, we use one theory for each of our projects. It's called universal design. These two touched on it a bit. Universal design is essentially universally used by any homeowner or user of the kitchen, the bathroom, the device, whatever it is. Universal design should be able to be used by almost anyone. And there are 6 tenets of universal design. Those are equitable use, the design being simple and intuitive, the information is perceived just out of sight or by feel, tolerance for error, okay, so avoid things like a towel rack that is not also a grab bar, and if it's in a place that's logical to grab, it might as well have grab bar capabilities as well. Low physical effort to use, and the space is safe for approach and use. Okay, so things like removing area rugs. The key areas to address in the home, obviously, I can't tell you how many times someone's had a contractor come in, remodel their bathroom for them. They've spent $50,000. They're coming home from a 6-month stay in a rehabilitation facility, and then we get a call and say, hey, we couldn't get them in the front door because it's only 28 inches wide. And, you know, can you get over here and can you widen the door? So you have to look at each of these areas to make a home completely accessible. A lot of falls at bathrooms are obviously a high-risk area for falls because you're thinking it's wet, you're vulnerable. A lot of falls happen in the living room and bedroom. Those areas are often neglected, but it's where we spend most of our time while we're in the house. So I've got a little bit of information on how to negate some of those hazards in the presentation. The other thing is, too, these things, they don't have to be, I mean, these two alluded to, it doesn't have to look like a hospital. It doesn't have to look like a commercial product. You can do beautiful renovations that also serve the purpose of accessibility, okay? So like this one, this is pretty cool. Not my project, but I've done a couple projects like this. It looks like a front porch, but it's a wheelchair ramp, okay? It looks a lot better, you know, if you have the time and the finances to invest in things like this, with a little bit of planning, you can make it beautiful. Some of the options for ramps, semi-permanent ramps. You see these a lot, okay? They're usually aluminum or steel. The benefits are the installation's very quick. There are some companies that can get out within a matter of days to install these. They're easily removable, so if you need them temporarily, you know, they can be removed in a matter of probably an hour, most of them. And some companies like AmRamp, I'm not sure about you guys, but that do ramps a lot can rent the ramps too. So that's a consideration. Important note on renting ramps. Typically, if you're going to need it for 6 months or more, then they recommend that you purchase it because that's the break-even point for aluminum ramps. And obviously, they're very durable. Permanent ramps like this one we built out of cedar decking, they are obviously beautiful and customizable. So if you're planning to stay somewhere for a long time, in your home for a long time, you can do something like this ramp, or to make it look like a front porch, something like that. Who's heard of these? Vertical platform lifts. Okay. Massachusetts makes a lot of things difficult. They make vertical platform lifts difficult to install. So this is one we've installed. You have to follow a lot of elevator laws when doing this. So there are companies that specialize in mobility products. If you have a limited amount of space, or you would like to maybe convert an area of your garage to an accessibility structure, consider these. They're about the same price as a custom ramp or a very long aluminum ramp, but they have a lot of benefits too, okay? They're the least amount of effort for caregivers and the user, and they require a small amount of space, okay? I have actually a video, let's see if this works. This is me years ago on one we installed inside of a garage. You can see the wheelchair accessible platform also acts as a safety guard for when you're traveling upwards. And they're pretty simple. They can be installed in a day.
Do you know what the weight limits are on those?
Different models have different weight limits. Typically, though, they are prepared to handle a user in a wheelchair and a caregiver on the trip. Bathrooms, okay. Something to look out for in every bathroom. We want low or no curves, okay? Grab bars everywhere that we can place them, even if they're something like a corner caddy or a towel rack. We want handheld showers and slip-resistant materials. Here's a little feature I want to point out. This is a bathroom we did years ago. Sometimes, if you have this arrangement, you can place the shower valve on the opposite wall so that you or someone assisting the homeowner with the shower can get the shower up to temperature and control it without having to step in and get wet or reach too far. Small modifications like that, small considerations, make a huge difference. I'm not fogging you, am I? A little bit. Okay. Another type of bathroom. So we go into a lot of houses, especially in Newton, you know, these areas where they don't have a full bathroom on the first floor. They might have a half bath on the first floor. And so if we plan to age in place and you'd like to live your entire life in your house, it's essential sometimes to get everything on the first floor. Your bedroom, all your living spaces, the kitchen, all there. And it's a very common project for us to take a half bath and maybe steal a closet from an adjacent room, or use the space that's there now to create what we call a wet bath. This is a project I did in Waltham. It was a half bath. We had no space to steal from anywhere else, but we made the entire bathroom floor a shower floor. And we provided some, we waterproofed the substrate on all of the walls and tiled the entire room. And we also put a curtain for some splash protection. But the gentleman that lived in this house was able to convert his dining room to a bedroom and a half bath to a wet room. And he lived very comfortably in this house after that.
How did you do the drainage? I mean, where did the water go once it's
So
on the floor?
they have a basement, but there's a number of substrate systems, okay, that are waterproof that you tile on top of. And they're pre-pitched towards a drain. It can be a trough drain, a center drain, all different configurations, but they're thin. And this might be more information than you're looking for, but
No.
we frame the subfloor. We call it sistering the joists, so that we drop the subfloor level with the tops of the joists. And then we place a pan on top of that. And when we do that, we gain some depth. And so there's no threshold at the entry of the room. And everything is, no threshold, all to a big shower floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complex process, but it's really common.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Would we be able to see it? Would somebody, let us come in their house and see what you did?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
a lot of so I have some cards here for anyone who'd like them, but we often work on projects in unoccupied properties. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but if a family is looking to downsize and they want the home prepared prior to move-in, that's a good time to say, hey, come on and take a look, and you can see this, but maybe not when they're sitting in the living room. This is the most common bathroom remodel that we do for accessibility, and it's curbless. You can see here, that's about 60 inches wide, and there was a bathtub there. Okay, so we removed the bathtub. We placed one of those special tileable pans in the alcove, and then we waterproofed the substrate throughout and the shower walls, and we tiled right into it. Very common, because if you have, all of the plumbing is there already, okay, you just have to change the size of the drain and typically swap out the shower valve and shower head, things like that. But it's common and easy to do. And if you're looking for a more budget-friendly version of this, where we're not doing stuff like reframing the floor or purchasing tile for the floor, there are different companies that sell shower inserts. So imagine before there was a bathtub here. They make all these different models that you can install in a day. There's a little bit more to it than that. You gotta smash out the tub and all the tile and stuff like that. But they come in the same size for common tub replacements. And this is a good option for a more budget-friendly, accessible bathroom remodel. And lastly is low threshold. A lot of us say, hey, look, if I am going to be in a wheelchair, this house just doesn't make a lot of sense. I want to get some more time out of this house, but I don't want to step over a 20-inch bathtub. These are typically around the same price as a barrier-free shower, but it's just a superior option to a tall tub. Okay, bedrooms and living rooms, okay? In universal design, we prepare for any level of mobility and accessibility. A huge component of that is having a 60-inch turning radius for wheelchair usage, okay? So you picture anywhere in your house, whether it's next to your bed or in front of your couch, inside your bathroom. If you're remodeling for the purposes of accessibility, even if you are not expecting to use a wheelchair long-term, consider incorporating a 60-inch or 5-foot turning radius within the room, because if you spend $50,000 to remodel your bathroom and you get knee surgery 2 weeks later, you may be kicking yourself saying, I just spent the money to do this and improve this for mobility, but I can't use it for the next 2 months because I have a knee replacement, something like that. So it's easy to incorporate and a good rule of thumb. In each of these rooms too, improve the lighting and open space. You want to shorten beds, couches, furniture, and add bed rails and grab bars anywhere that you can. This is duplicating a little bit, but in bedrooms and living rooms, some of those features like remote and automatic lighting, raised outlets, okay? So this is a big one and an easy one to do. If you have an outlet that's 15 inches off the ground and you have balance issues or back or hip problems, reaching over just to plug in a vacuum can be a nerve-wracking task. Having an electrician raise outlets, which isn't typically very difficult, can be huge. Open shelving and lift chairs and beds, and obviously secure flooring, which we've covered. A little more detail on the kitchen upgrades that you can make for a universally designed kitchen. You've got reachable appliances. So has anyone seen those top loader dishwashers? Mm-hmm. Okay. I actually have some photos on this slideshow about these, but you can load them from a perch chair or a wheelchair, okay? And they're typically off the ground quite a bit too. So there's no bending over to pull out the bottom tray, something like that. But the same goes for ovens, okay? Wall ovens are a better option than maybe a range at some point, because the appliances are reachable without having to reach high or low. Open space beneath sinks and stove tops so that you can sit under them, again, in a perch chair or a regular chair. Varying counter heights in case you prefer to be standing or one spouse is standing while another is seated, then you can both help with preparing meals. And safety appliances. Got some good photos of what I mean by this. Here's a kitchen we did in Wayland. You can see here this gas stovetop. The customer wanted a gas stovetop, although we recommend induction cooktops for scalding and burn protection. But we put front dials here so that they weren't having to reach over the flame to shut off their oven or their stovetop. And we have open space beneath it. This person used a wheelchair, but they loved to cook. So they were able to use this stovetop pretty easily. We did the same thing to the sink. We put in a shallow sink and gave them access to use it within a wheelchair, and put the microwave in the island so they didn't have to reach up to it. We put a stovetop available from an oven available from their seated position, and we replaced one of the drawers with a shelf capable of handling quite a bit of weight. So this person wanted to host Thanksgiving, and pulling the turkey out of the oven would have been difficult, but having an area to pivot was very helpful for them. And this is that top loader dishwasher that I mentioned prior. They can sit at the sink with their feet underneath and transfer dishes right into the dishwasher. There aren't many companies that make these, so the one that makes this specific model is called Fisher and Paykel. Okay. Stairways. Okay, so we want to install, a lot of us have handrails either at the base of our stairs or on one side of the stairwell. My recommendation is place them on both sides if you can. So if we have an injury or a stroke or develop a weakness on one side, handrails on one side will only serve you either up or down, okay? So try to get something that matches on the opposite side as well. Slip-resistant surfaces, sometimes those runners need to be removed, or you can add additives to polyurethane to make things less slick, okay? Stair lifts, I think we've all heard of stair lifts. Any stair lift that goes around a curve is considered custom. Every staircase is different. So if you know and want a stair lift, plan well in advance, because you have to have a company come out, take custom measurements, probably get a couple companies out there to compare prices, but the time from their measurement to when it's manufactured, installed, is going to be probably 6 to 8 weeks at the fastest. So that's, you know, an important consideration. And in all areas, you know, these two have touched on this. The lighting, the yellowish lighting, it isn't going to serve us if we start having blurring or vision issues. We want to look at bright white and daylight lighting. So if you go into Lowe's or Home Depot, I think for years they just gave the lumens and kelvins, but none of us really understands what that means off the shelf. So they've started labeling everything now by the color of the lighting. And these two, daylight and bright white or cool white, are what you should consider.
You can get bulbs that are those, like those lighting.
You can get bulbs that are those, and then a lot of the times now, we've switched to LED lighting. It's more efficient. So where for recessed lights, we used to have this big can that we would cut into the ceiling. It's called puck lighting now. And the profile looks just like a recessed light, but it's an LED. And an advantage of some of those is that there's a dial on them, and you can select your preference of the lighting. So they have a full spectrum of the colors, and your electrician or your handyman can kind of adjust them to your preference. Obviously, that's a nightmare for all of us, including myself. I would trip over that anytime I'm getting off the couch. I'm dealing with enough Legos as it is at my house with the kids, so try to reduce those things. Something to grab, these two touched on that. They make good looking grab bars and corner caddies and those kinds of fixtures. They've also, there's also products for really specific areas. This guy loved the Red Sox, but 11:30 p.m. started becoming kind of sketchy for him, getting up off the couch. This was his favorite couch. This is called a super pole. Okay, it's a company, Healthcraft. They make a bunch of unique products. If you have an area in the middle of a room and you can't get a grab bar somewhere, there are products like this. They have a full line of products like this that fit unique areas. Maybe you have a long, open area of the house and you just want something to break up the trip, okay? Something like a super pole is really helpful. Lever handles. Another one is pocket doors. Pocket doors are great because they don't take up space into the room, and typically, because you're not dealing with a hinge, the opening can be wider. So you want to get to about 34 or 36 inches of open space, trim to trim, for wheelchair usage. If you're doing a remodel and it makes sense, consider pocket doors.
But are they keep like as much sound going back and forth between rooms? No, they don't, right?
I think it depends, right? It's very similar construction. They're typically, they have the same air gap beneath the door. Interior door walls aren't insulated, so the framing doesn't make much of a difference in the room.
But the doors are lighter themselves, right?
No, most of them are actually solid core doors.
Okay.
This is a project we did where I've got to remove this slide, but they made a lot of sense here because we built this addition for this family so they could move to the first floor of their home. And we incorporated pocket doors so that they could maximize the storage in a smaller space because they just didn't need the room for the door swing. And reduce clutter. No matter what, reducing clutter is going to help eliminate falls. Okay, so really quickly before we get into the Q&A, I want to talk about some of the common larger projects to consider. If you plan to remain home, then some houses have a footprint where you can cannibalize some space like a dining room and convert it to a bedroom. But if you are at the point where you're considering an interior elevator or a stair lift, something like that, maybe price out a first floor remodel at the same time, because typically you'll have enough space on the first floor for sufficient living, and it may be similar in cost with the amount of remodeling you have to do versus lifts like elevators. Secondly, additions like the one I showed you here, if you have almost the right amount of space, but you have plenty of room on your property to expand on the first level, sometimes the equity we have in our house and getting a line of credit, something like that, or spending the cash to build out of the first floor is a great option. And then lastly, sometimes like these old Victorian houses, they don't have a bathroom till the second floor, the bedroom's on the third floor, the laundry's in the basement, and the footprint is kind of tight. And you get a pretty good amount of cash for selling houses like that in a community like Wayland. Consider downsizing within the community. Around here in Framingham and Natick and parts of Kitchituit, we have these Campanelli ranches, okay, which are one-level slabs. They're typically more affordable than larger homes that we're downsizing out of. You'll have sufficient funds to make significant renovations in properties like that. We work with a lot of families to do that downsizing process with accessibility in mind. Lastly, and this is a new one, starting in February, there's new Massachusetts code. They're following code from the West Coast in Washington and California. Has anyone heard of accessory dwelling units, ADUs? Okay, so now starting in February in Massachusetts, by right, you can have an accessory dwelling unit on any single family property. An accessory dwelling unit can be a conversion of an existing space like a garage created into a full self-sufficient house. It can be a basement that's been converted, or it can be a completely detached structure. Okay, so if you're children are in the area and you want to give them their privacy, but maybe you want to split the cost of one property to get their kids in a good school system like Wayland. See a lot of families purchasing a property with the intention of creating 2 independent housing units. This was a problem prior to this coming February because if you had a house that you could do this, you weren't permitted to do so. You couldn't add a second kitchen in the lower level of a split level, and you couldn't convert other space to a self-sufficient unit. So anyone who wants information on that, I'm happy to provide that. I'm tracking those changes, but it's a really great new option for folks who are looking to have some multi-generational living.
Do they have specific plot sizes that you're allowed to do that on?
You have to follow building code, but there's leniency for accessibility structures.
Oh, so Wayland requires you have a basement, right?
So the guidelines are, as Brian said, the guidelines are all changing. We did have our building commissioner from here talk at our housing workshop that you were part of a couple of years ago, but everything is changing.
Right.
So once they know how it's going to affect Wayland, we'll have him come back at some point to talk about what the new guidelines are.
The basement is a killer though, right?
Well-
That was the one thing that, the only reason I asked is I once said, can you put a tiny house? And it was like, no, it has no basement. So,
A basement's not a requirement, actually. We built these on footings, like helical pile footings,
okay,
sonotube
but that's the
footings.
answer, so yeah.
In Wayland, the hurdle is going to be setbacks and septic system design.
I know someone who tried to do that in one.
You have to get creative. Sometimes you need an architect to come
It
in and
was
say,
a septic tank.
yeah,
Needs to be much bigger.
bigger, or you have to eliminate bedrooms within the primary
Right,
house.
right.
There's ways to do it.
First of all, I'd like to thank Brian, Kelly, and Michael. This was great information, so thank you very much. We're going to open it up to questions, but I just want to mention a couple of things. First of all, our speaker last week talked about funding resources for home modifications, and I have some information that she sent to me, so if anybody is interested in that, there are information at the back. Once again, I have evaluations. I'm going to pass them out as we're taking questions, and I'd really appreciate it if people could fill those out based on all 3 programs. And now we'll open it up to questions. So does anybody have any questions for any of our speakers? Kathy? Just so we can hear you.
You don't have to stand it.
Is this enough?
Here, no.
Close, 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
There's been too many board meetings.
I don't think I figured it out.
Thank you. Just so everybody can hear the question.
Are there any guidelines for picking a small job where you probably need a handyman as opposed to building services? Like having somebody come and change the batteries in all of my small buildings?
Guidelines, there are guidelines for smoke detectors. I don't know if that's your question,
No, but I have smoke detectors that are fine,
right?
but I know.
Just
that they
changing
can have
batteries?
Batteries, but I don't want to get on the ladder.
I would want someone who is ladder trained. I don't know of any policies that you have to do. I mean, it's something that anyone could do, I think, if
I
you
think
can
what
read.
she's trying to say is that, like, for example, he's construction, you're handyman. How do we know who to go to? Do we go
Well-
to you? Do we go somewhere else? Is that what you're trying to ask?
I think our fire department will come do that.
We're both contractors. We both are licensed. We both can build homes. We both can do things. I've never built a home. I did build a barn on my own property. That was the extent of my, building. It's really it's like a doctor. They have specialties and they focus. He's a contractor who focuses on larger projects. I'm a contractor, but we focus on smaller, mid-sized projects. So that's kind of it. I mean, I think you could call him and he could do anything he wanted. I don't know his schedule. I don't know how he works. It may take him a while to get to you. On us, we specialize more in, okay, I can probably get to you within a week. That's my goal, is to keep it within a week. If there's an emergency, hopefully we can get to you tomorrow. Those are the differences I know between larger project companies. I talked to a larger project company recently, and we're a year out. I mean, he's a year out, and that's just the expectation. We try to be within a week out, and you can comment on that if you want.
Yeah, I think the urgency of the project should be the driver there. So if it's something you need done quickly, Michael and Kelly are a great option, because we're typically a month or two out for most of our jobs.
And your specific question, talk to us, because we had Todd Winter from the fire department here, and he said, depending on how busy they are, sometimes they can help with those kinds of things.
Well, I know they came once and changed, they installed the new
Right.
fire alarms.
Right.
But I was thinking in terms of also changing light bulbs, you know.
Well, they want to do light bulbs, but they might help you with changing the batteries on your smoke detector if they have time. It's all dependent on how busy they are. They might not be able to get out there that day, but if they have time, they might try to do that.
We do change light bulbs, we do change smoke detector batteries, we do vacuum out your dryer vents. We do those little small home maintenance things that are all important for safety, but yeah, that's on a daily basis of the things that we do.
Thank you.
Other questions? Margie?
My question is probably for Michael. If you wanted to put, like we have, to get down to the driveway going out the front door, there's a series of, I think, 3 concrete steps, and we want to do a railing that would go kind of, because they come down and then you turn right to go into the garage. And so probably be a special railing that would have to go around the corner and everything. So do you recommend specific products or vendors, or do you have the customer find the one that they want and then you would install it?
We work with you. Obviously, the decor and aesthetics of a home are usually on the top of the list of importance to someone. We can do wooden, we can build a wooden railing for you, we can, get a metal iron one, cast iron, wrought iron railings, we do it all. It depends a lot on where you want to attach it. You're going to go into the ground, you're going to go into the step, you're going to go into the wall next to it. These are things that, all questions that would arise and would affect the project a little bit, but
And
no, it can be done.
You'd give an estimate for that.
We can for you.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Too easy.
No other questions?
There's some hard ones.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much again for coming. If anybody has any other questions. I am going to pass around the evaluations, and also once again, we have motion detector night lights that were funded by the grant from AARP. So if you did not get one, please help yourself. Lillian is in the back, and she can help you as well. It looks like there's only like one name in our little raffle for T-shirts. If you didn't hear us say this, we have 10 AARP T-shirts. If you're interested, just fill out a ticket, put your name in it, and if there's only less than 10, everybody can pick a T-shirt if you're interested. Anything else, just let us know. And again, thank you so much for coming. This was great information.
Thank you.
Thank you.